This is the story of Jay Baruchel and Alison Pill, a couple of Canadian kids who met, made a movie, and fell in love.
Sweet.
And like any good Canadian story, also involved hockey. But first, here's the backstory. Jay, this guy here, you know from films like $1 Million Baby, Knocked Up, and Tropic Thunder.
I think I can put it back in.
And of course, his multiple appearances on this very talk show. And at just 29, he's already built a hell of a career, and he's done it all without ever having to permanently move to Hollywood. Jay still lives in Montreal in the neighborhood where he grew up. Alison, meanwhile, grew up in Toronto. When she was 18, she moved to New York to make her mark in theater. And in 2006, got a Tony nomination, which is pretty great. Lately, been all over the big screen. In Milk, opposite Sean Penn, in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Scott! And Woody Allen's Midnight in Paris. But like I said, this is a love story. Jay and Alison met on the set of Goon, a bloody and timely film about a small-town bouncer who becomes a hockey enforcer.
Tonight we have a very special guest joining us. Doug, the Thug Glatt.
I'm a big fan.
Jay co-wrote the script and says it'll show what it truly feels like to play the game. For Jay, getting Goon made was a dream come true. But for both Jay and Alison, nothing comes close, I presume, to what they've planned next.
Everybody, please welcome back to the show, Jay Baruchel and woman Alison Pill. Nice to see you home. How are you, man? Good. Thank you. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Of course, that's a dope shirt.
Thank you very much.
How old were you when you first heard the Smiths? Do you remember that moment?
Yes, I was probably 16 years old. It was the first time that I listened to music that wasn't moist or Our Lady Peace.
Nice. It's also the first time you can listen to music and go, wow, they're more depressed than I am.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Thanks for coming. This is an interesting film, certainly to be released now.
Yeah.
One that really focuses on the enforcer.
It's fairly timely. You know, it's unfortunately timely. The past 2 years, past 2 seasons in the NHL have been the most cynically violent that I've ever seen in terms of sort of open ice headshots and elbows to the head. And you know, our game has the potential of losing the greatest player to ever play it for cheap shots. That is not an issue of fighting. And I think the two have become melded. I think that the sport needs a lot of re-examining. What I noticed, though, is that precious few of the boys themselves ever are chiming in on this issue.
Sure.
I think our fights and the violence in the movie run the gamut. I think some of them are sort of played for physical comedy. I think some of them are just epic action movie fights, and I think some of them are incredibly unpleasant to watch. And it was like, it's every bit as violent, truthfully violent as the game is, right? But the game is this wonderful mix of elegance and speed and skill with just jaw-dropping violence and sort of, you know, hockey is as diverse as literature or music or food. So you know, to try to make a movie that encompassed every aspect, there lies madness, right? So we decided to focus on the one aspect of it that is so bloody polarizing and has been, you know, fodder for debates amongst talking heads for my entire life.
So for somebody who's not in the culture, though, of hockey, when you looked at who these guys were and what, did you look at it and say, this is actually really barbaric and kind of a bizarre gladiator world?
I didn't. I think because I saw it through the scope of the script, which makes a lot of sense of it to any other viewer. You know, there is a code of honor, there is a purpose served, and, you know, shooting the movie at the same time as we were watching, you know, every Habs game that we could.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, I began to see, like, there was one game last year when Camilleri, you know, had his first fight of his career. Yeah. He's the incredible player, but, you know, he's not...
He never should have dropped his gloves.
No. Yeah, for a guy, you're a self-confessed fan of violence in movies, right? I know we love that kind of stuff. And you definitely would know this, we know this. When we try to pick up a girl ever in our life, we mostly learn it from movies. And that's how we learn as a kid. So, like, I was using I Can't Quit You long before they were using I Can't Quit You, but in a much different context.
I would hope.
How does a fan of horror and violent movies flirt? You know, what's his romance skills like? What are they?
Well, I mean... Here's the thing. It was midnight in Portage La Prairie. It was really cold out.
Stop right there. I'm in love. I'm in love. No, carry on.
Really? What was my competition?
Right.
Like, honest to God, you know?
There's a dude in the bar in Winnipeg who just went like this. I'm going to him up.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's right. No.
So midnight, and was there tension before, or?
Well, no, I mean, I just felt like it was the strangest thing because I met him, and within about 20 minutes, we were talking like we'd known each other for years. And then it just sort of went like, oh, this is where I belong. I belong next to you. And then it, you know, it took us a little while to sort of come to that conclusion and say it out loud.
There was a lot of goofiness. There was a lot of, you know, she was supposed to work in the crowd scenes, and she didn't. And they had her there for 3 days in a row, paid, but she ended up just sitting around. And so I was like, when else will I have her for 3 12-hour days that she's paid to be here and has no choice but to listen to me? So I was just like running a game like a mofo. I was just pulling everything out of my arse, trying everything, you know.
And you knew that was happening?
No, I'm quite oblivious. I had a suspicion that maybe, you know, maybe he liked me. And then it's really lame.
Sorry, everybody. This is
really
not.
lame.
I'm actually glad you showed up.
No, this is interesting. Here's why, because you made a conscious choice to be public about this, and a lot of people in your position don't.
No, I'm pleased as punch. I can't believe I have a chick stick around this long. You know, my mother. This is the best thing that's ever happened to my mother. She was like, you know, to quote her, she was like, Jay, there aren't very many girls that can put up with your shit. and so the fact that I found one is just like, yeah, I pray every night.
I'm curious about, we all know this, you all have that person in your life. You had somebody in your life. I read this article about you talking about your drama teacher. That teachers are watching it, seeing as you're talking about schools and teachers who know how to read. Tell me about your teacher. You had one teacher that was instrumental in your life?
Yeah, Jill Frappier, who runs the Dragon Tales drama group.
Which, by the way, is the most adorable name in the world.
Dragon Tales or Jill Frappier?
Both, actually, to be honest.
She's this amazing woman, and yeah, she wrote plays. We did The Crucible. You know, it was the first chance I had to act, you know, anywhere really, besides in this building doing books on tape.
Right. What would you say to her if you could see her now?
You start with hi.
Here, let's make it easier for you, Jill. Come on up. Come on up.
Wait, what?
That's crazy.
Have a seat, Jill. Have a seat.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
We'd heard about her, so we just thought we'd call. And,
I'm so excited. Oh, my God. My mom's going to be ecstatic.
what does it mean to you to see what's happening to her career?
Oh, I never stop talking about her. The kids are sick of me talking about Alison. I'm so excited, but I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. You were special from the word go. I never believed I actually taught her anything. I believe we were colleagues, we were friends that discussed stuff together. And you were so good at analyzing yourself.
I've always been that self-analyzing.
No, but a big part of her life now is him, and I needed you. Now you have to weigh in on this. Yeah.
Oh, man, really?
You know, what would you ask him? If a young boy in school was flirting with her, you, I'm sure, were protective. So here's the man.
Oh, Jesus. Yes.
Well, I think you're really cute. So
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
One of the pluses about you, Jay, is that you come from Montreal.
Indeed.
Yeah, I love Montreal. I lived there for a long while. Yeah. Good. And you seem to really love my girl here. So
she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you're very lucky.
I did tell me about it. Yeah. She's really classing up the joint. It's like she's done for my life what she did for our movie. You know, it's like before she showed up, it was like Sean William Scott and Jay Baruchel are making a hockey movie in Manitoba. You know, and like, you know, I'm psyched, but it's not the sexiest thing ever. And then they're like, Alison Pill's here, and everyone's like, oh, it's a movie.
It was nice to see you, Jill. Thank you so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for she introduced me to Arthur Miller and The Crucible, and it was, yeah, it was amazing.
You also were my daughter. a mouse daughter. If you
Yes,
remember.
yes.
In an animated series, right?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Yes.
All right, so we'll come back more with Jay and Alison right after this. Anthropology.
The trick is to realize that he's scared stiff. Because for the first time in his life, he loves so deeply that he's willing to give his own life for the happiness of another. Play it like it's your own feelings that are freaking you out.
Back with Jay and Alison.
Oh my God.
Well, we figured if we go back to her,
Yeah.
that's about half your life ago. Was that My Hometown?
That's from a couple of weeks ago, actually. Yes.
Had you ever seen that clip, that version of him?
No, I mean I've seen bits of My Hometown. I've seen like the credit sequence, I think.
Yeah.
And of course the Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Our darks. I was in a bunch of them, Alison.
Dark, sorry, Afraid of the Dark.
All right, anthropology. Let me ask you a question. First thing that went through your mind when he proposed?
Yeah.
Did you say it like that to him? Was that your yes?
Well, he had used the F word in his.
It was something.
No way, really?
Well, it was something along. Okay, so she, Christmas time, I wanted to buy her a ring, but I'm kind of a wuss, and I needed to identify myself that this is an engagement ring. But I was like, no, it's just a ring. It's just a ring. And then, as I'm giving it to her, I'm like, what am I doing? Of course, I know what it is. And so it was something to the effect of, I passed it to her, and I was like, hey, so, you want to marry me? Something like that.
Fantastic. All right, so has he asked you to be in one of his horror movies?
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about one of them especially. I mean, there's two, and one of them I'm quite excited about, but I don't have a great death sequence, and then, which is fine, I'm totally understand it. And
You want a better death, is what you're saying?
I want to
You need
scream
a hobo
lot.
with a shotgun death.
Yeah, that's what she wants.
need.
She wants a
Yeah.
hobo death.
Oh yeah, no, hockey skate to the chest is the way to go.
So he has been a big supporter of working in Canada and making a lot of Canadian productions. And by your choice as you are, do you feel the same way?
No.
No.
I love working anywhere with the people that I want to work with, and I think if Jay's making amazing horror movies in Montreal, I want to be in every single one of them, or just sweep floors if I can.
Yeah, do you feel, as a guy that's so big and working in Canada, that the next step of your career is to go get all the Canadians elsewhere and bring them back? Like to start to proselytize, in a sense, about making and before you answer, let me just play you a clip. There's just from what happened earlier in the season on our show.
Okay.
I have a lot of friends. Jay Baruchel is a good friend of mine, and he makes a lot of Canadian movies and constantly really gives me a hard time for not making more.
He truly
and
does?
He truly does. He's like, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Fair?
Yeah, very fair. No, yes. Listen, I just, if they want to come back, they should come back. The important distinction for me is that I never bloody left. I had never had an interest in leaving. I grew up watching Canadian celebrities make a dent in the States, and the only time that they would ever come back and be on the CBC or be in Canadian movies is when work seemed to dry up for them down there. And that just taught such a terrible cultural lesson to me. And I without a doubt believe this is the best country the world has come up with so far, so why wouldn't I want to make movies here?
Excellent. The film is called Goon, starring Alison Pill and Jay Baruchel. Everybody will be right back.
As you can probably tell, we have a live studio audience. I'd love it if you would join us. Go to strombo.com/tickets for more.